Morning guys, welcome back to the rod shop. Happy New Year, 2023. Wow, time flies. I'm getting old. Today we're going to work on the Rehab Your Old Rod project. We're getting close to putting some guides on it. So we're also going to do some trick stuff. So y'all stick around. Okay, last time we were working on it, we were out in the garage and we did a custom paint. Which honestly I didn't like the way it turned out. It was just a little too muted of colors. I didn't think it through very well and decided, you know what, I'm gonna punt. So I took it and I sanded the paint back off. We're back down to the Veracity clear coat. It's not quite down to the paint yet, but we're getting close. But I wanted to show you one that I did many years ago because I got a lot of questions about how do you seal it. So this is a rod I did probably 10 years ago. I did a camo paint job on this. Rattle can paint. There was just 4 colors, black, brown, tan, and an olive. And I built 5 of these, 4 for a client who wanted this paint job. And I built an extra blank just in case I had a problem. The other 4 went off without a hitch, so I built this one for myself. I really liked it, but it all I did was once I painted it is I put 2 coats of clear epoxy over it, and this is how it turned out. Like I said, it's been in the boat for at least 10 years. It is my big jerkbait rod, and it's taken a little bit of abuse here. You can see where the top coat of epoxy is getting scratched up from the hooks, but we're not down into the paint yet. This stuff is pretty durable if you do it this way. All you need to do, like I said, paint any color you want and just clear it. Down here in the butt section of the rod, it really doesn't affect anything. If you're doing anything out here in the tip section, you are going to affect the power and the action, and we'll get into more of that when we get on this rod, because we're going to epoxy this entire rod with some marbling mud next. Marbling mud. What is it? Well, it is a powder that is specifically designed to go into epoxy. Now, I bought this kit, CRB kit from Mud Hole, probably 10 years ago, and it is just a very fine powder that once you mix your epoxy, you just add to it, and it is super fine. And if you want kind of an opaque of that color, not really solid color, you just add a little bit. If you really want it solid, which I do in this particular case, you're going to add quite a bit. All right, for prep, what I've done is this is my stripper guide. What I'm going to do is from here to the end of the rod, it's just going to be black. From here to the butt of the rod, I'm going to do some epoxy with some marbling in it, which that's the next video. But today we're just going to focus on from here to the end of the rod with black and epoxy. Now what that's going to do when you epoxy the end of the rod with the action in it, which is the tip obviously, you're going to increase the power just slightly, and you're going to speed up the action just slightly. Now this epoxy, even though it seems like it's hard, it does not crack. It still has some flexibility to it. Now this rod was a 7.9 7 power heavy fast action rod for flip and stick anyway, so the fact that I beef it up a little bit more is not going to be a big deal. This rod was originally designed to handle 3-ounce weights. It'll probably handle a little more now, but I don't flip anything anywhere near that heavy. This is going to be one of my flipping sticks I keep in the boat. The first thing we need to do is mix up some epoxy. So I'm going to mix up 4 milliliters of each, just so I have plenty. I'll have a total of 8 milliliters plus the marbling mud in it, and I'll do that now. This epoxy is about mixed. Now I'm going to add my black marbling mud to it. So I'm going to take my X-Acto. I don't know how you're supposed to do this, but this is how I do it. I'm going to take a scoop. And actually another one, because I want this to be very black. And I've got 4, actually Probably a little bit more. And with 4 milliliters of epoxy in there, that's a lot of epoxy. Let's see. You can see what I'm doing here. It's turning it very, very black. Got a little bit of a sheen to it. Make sure I get it all mixed in there. The dry mixed very well. Also, I raised the stands on my power wrapper as high as possible, and they still touch. Because what I'm going to do is, as I start on the tip end with this epoxy, I am going to drop the stands out and continue on with a coat. Because I'm trying to do this in one step from the very tip all the way to the stripper guide in the black. Alright, so we're mixed pretty good there, and I want to do this while it's pretty thin because I really would like a very thin coat of this on the blank. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to give it a whirl. Let me get some light on the subject here. Alright, starting at the very tip here where the tip top will go. Got my brush. I'm going to load my brush up. And you notice I've got paper towels all out through my wrapper here because it's probably going to make a mess. I'm going to put it on pretty heavy and then wipe it back off. Alright, so I'm up to my first stand here. Again, putting it on very heavy, keeping it turning. This might take 2 tin coats. You know what, I think I'm going to try a softer tip brush. This might work better. This is very soft tip on this brush. I'm at my first stand. I'm going to drop it out and keep working my way down. This is a little more time consuming than I expected, but at the tip here, it's very hard to get an even coat without a bubble in it, or a bulge, I guess is a better term for it. Because the diameter is so small, it's smaller than my brush tip. To get even coat without getting bulges in it was being tricky here, but we're working our way down. We will get it done here shortly. And what I'm doing with my brush here, guys, is basically wet tipping. I learned that on the other side of the wall there, learning how to build a boat and paint a boat in the over on the Swamp Cat Boat Works channel. But what you do is you always want to end your stroke in a finished area as you lift the brush, and the brush marks disappear, and then you're putting new brush marks, and then you'll be lifting across those. So you want to work towards the wet edge always. And I got still just a few little bumps here I'm trying to knock out. Also, because I'm turning this by hand and I'm turning it so slowly, the epoxy is doing a great job falling from the top around and getting a nice smooth coat. Alright, we're at the second stand and we're going to drop it out and keep working our way back. Alright, so this is the last stand that I'm going to drop out. But as we're working back here, I don't want to drop it yet. I want to keep working it back a little bit so I still have support close to where I'm working. So I slid that back. I'm not going to strap it down. This one's locked down pretty good here. Just keep working my way back. Alright, I guess it's time to finally drop this last one out. And keep working back to my tape mark here. It's been about 15 minutes. This epoxy's starting to thicken up a little bit, even though I started with it pretty warm epoxy and a pretty warm rod space. It gives you a little more time with your epoxy. And it's a lot thinner to start with, which I thought would be beneficial to doing this much epoxy work on this blank, especially near the tip where I really needed it to run. We're getting close and we're about out of time on this epoxy, so I gotta speed things up.
And the Apollo kid is so wavy.
looks like we wound up about a milliliter short, so I probably should have done 5 instead of 4 of each part. I'll go ahead and mix that up, finish this off. So next time when we come back, I'm going to be doing some really trick marbling stuff here to get a bunch of different colors and patterns. I'll show you how that's done. You can play with it yourself. If you're getting a lot out of these videos, guys, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Let me know that you are here and participating. So it helps me out. It just keeps me motivated to make these videos. You guys, we've talked about this before. I love doing the rods, the videos, not so much. But anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.